Commander Jiho walked slowly through the underground tunnels beneath Seoul. The walls were thick concrete, built to hide from enemy eyes above. His boots echoed in the quiet halls as he made his way to the command center. Everything had changed 3 days ago when the aliens came. The massive doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, dozens of people sat at glowing screens, watching and listening. Dr. Mina looked up from her station, her face tired but alert. She had not slept much since the ships appeared in the sky. "They are still scanning us," she said quietly, "looking at our power plants, our roads, our military bases, but only the ones we want them to see." Jiho nodded and walked to the center of the room. A huge holographic display showed the alien ships floating above Earth like dark clouds. There were 12 of them, each one larger than any building humans had ever built. They cast shadows over cities around the world. People looked up at them with fear and wonder. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. They had spoken to the United Nations yesterday through machines that changed their words into human language. Their leader was tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. When he spoke, his voice was calm but cold. "Your species is young and primitive," the alien had said. "You use simple rockets to barely reach your moon. Your energy comes from splitting atoms, a crude and dangerous method. You fight wars on your single world while we travel between the stars." President Kyung had listened from the hidden bunker in Geneva. He sat very still as the alien continued speaking. The words were meant to make humans feel small and weak. "We have watched many worlds like yours," the alien leader explained. "Some learn to accept guidance from their betters. Others must be taught through harder lessons. We hope Earth will be wise." Now Jiho stood in the secret command center, remembering those words. Around him, his people worked quietly at their tasks. They monitored alien communications, tracked the movement of ships, and sent coded messages to hidden bases across the solar system. "Captain Hana, what do our observers report?" Jiho asked. A young woman turned from her screen. "The aliens think we are exactly what we appear to be. They see chemical rockets and nuclear power plants. They see armies with simple weapons and cities that depend on fossil fuels. They believe we are trapped on one planet because we cannot do better." Jiho smiled for the first time in days. "Good. That is what we want them to think." Far from Earth, on the dark side of the moon, Engineer Taman checked the readings on his instruments. He stood in a cavern that stretched for kilometers underground. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, showing massive shapes taking form in the darkness. Ships longer than mountains, wider than cities, were being built in perfect secrecy. "Status. Report." He spoke into his headset. "Fusion core installation is complete on units 1 through 6, came the reply. "Antimatter containment systems are stable. Weapons arrays are 60% finished." Taman nodded with satisfaction. The aliens thought humans were primitive because they could not see the truth. For 50 years, ever since radio telescopes first detected signals from space, humanity had been preparing. Scientists and engineers had worked in hidden laboratories, developing technologies that would shock even advanced alien civilizations. The ships being built in the lunar caverns used fusion power, but not the kind the aliens expected. These reactors could contain and control the same forces that powered stars. The weapons being installed could tear holes in space itself. The engines could push these massive vessels faster than anything in known space. Back on Earth, Dr. Yuna worked in her laboratory beneath the Swiss mountains. She had helped design the stealth systems that kept their secret bases hidden from alien sensors. The technology made their installations invisible by bending light and energy around them. "The Council scans show no unusual activity," she reported to the command center. "As far as they know, we are burning coal and oil like primitive creatures. They cannot detect our real power sources." President Kyung walked through the Geneva bunker, thinking about the choice his species had made long ago. When scientists first realized Earth might not be alone in the universe, world leaders had asked a simple question. What if the aliens were not friendly? What if first contact was not a peaceful meeting between equals? So humanity had prepared in secret. They built weapons and ships in places no alien would think to look. They developed technologies in hidden laboratories. They trained soldiers and pilots for a war they hoped would never come. All while appearing to the outside universe as a simple, harmless world. The alien ships continued their scans from orbit. Their computers analyzed human cities and found exactly what they expected to find. Primitive rockets, simple nuclear plants, crude weapons, and a species that had never left its home world. The reports confirmed what the Galactic Council already believed. Earth was no threat to anyone. In the depths of space, on stations hidden in asteroid fields and moon bases, thousands of humans continued their secret work. They welded hull plates, calibrated weapons, and ran final tests on engines that could move mountains. The Titan fleets were almost ready. Soon the aliens would learn that primitive was not the same as powerless. But for now, the deception continued, and humanity waited for the right moment to show the galaxy what they really were. The message arrived on a cold Tuesday morning in Geneva. Ambassador Ji Hye sat at the long table in the underground meeting room, reading the alien words from her tablet. World leaders from every nation watched her face as she spoke the Council's demands aloud. The Galactic Council requires immediate compliance, she read slowly. Earth must accept status as a protected primitive world. All humans will work in assigned labor groups for galactic construction projects. Military forces will be disbanded. Space travel beyond your moon is forbidden. General Sunwoo hit the table with his fist. The sound echoed in the quiet room. They want us as slaves, he said angrily. Workers to build their empire while they sit in comfort. President Kyung remained calm. He had expected this moment for months. The aliens had studied Earth and decided humans were weak enough to control easily. They offered no real choice, only the illusion of one. Dr. Yuna, the president said quietly, tell me about our hidden projects. The scientist adjusted her thick glasses and looked at her notes. Project Titan is ahead of schedule. The Mars facilities are working perfectly. Our asteroid mining stations are producing antimatter faster than we hoped. Commander Jinwoo says the big ships will be ready soon. President Kyung nodded. Around the table, other leaders showed no emotion on their faces. They had practiced this moment many times. Soon they would have to act like defeated people accepting their fate. Above ground, news cameras filmed as human leaders met with alien representatives. The footage would be broadcast around the world. People needed to see their governments bowing to alien demands. It was all part of the plan. President Kyung walked slowly up the steps to where the alien ambassador waited. The creature was tall and thin with gray skin that looked like old leather. Its large black eyes showed no emotion as it watched the human approach. Earth accepts the generous offer of the Galactic Council, President Kyung said in a voice that sounded defeated. We will comply with all requirements. The alien nodded with satisfaction. Your species shows wisdom. Many primitive worlds choose to resist and suffer for their foolishness. You will be given work assignments within one standard cycle. Cameras captured every moment. News reporters spoke about humanity's surrender to superior alien technology. Some people cried. Others looked, angry but helpless. The performance was perfect. But in secret places around the solar system, very different work was happening. Captain Soo-young piloted her cargo ship through the asteroid belt, carrying supplies to a hidden construction site. Her ship looked old and simple from the outside, just another human vessel barely capable of reaching nearby space. The aliens watching from their orbital stations saw exactly what they expected. Primitive rockets burning chemical fuel, moving slowly between planets carrying small loads of common materials. Their scanners detected nothing unusual. Captain Soo-young smiled as she flew past an alien patrol ship. If they could see inside her cargo hold, they would find containers of exotic matter and antimatter fuel cells worth more than entire planets. But her ship's special shielding made the valuable cargo invisible to their sensors. Control Center. This is Transport 7, she reported on a hidden channel. Approaching Docking Station Charlie, cargo is secure. The docking station looked like a simple mining platform from outside, but it was built around a massive asteroid that had been hollowed out and turned into a shipyard. Inside the rocky shell, human engineers worked on vessels that would terrify the Galactic Council. Engineer Nari stood on the observation deck, watching welders attach armor plates to a ship's hull. The vessel was 3 kilometers long and bristled with weapons the aliens had never seen. Its fusion reactors could power entire cities. Its engines could push it faster than any council ship. "How many are ready for combat?" asked Admiral Seojin through the communication system. "Titan Fleet Alpha has 12 ships ready now," Nari replied. "Beta Fleet will have 8 more within 2 months. Gamma Fleet is still under construction, but will be our largest force." Back on Earth, humans began reporting to their new alien supervisors. Lieutenant Do-hyun put on the uniform of a communications worker and walked into the alien command post in Tokyo. He smiled politely and bowed as the aliens explained his duties. The alien supervisor spoke through a translation device. "You will maintain communication arrays and repair equipment as needed. Your primitive technology requires constant attention, but it serves our purposes." Lieutenant Do-hyun nodded and looked, impressed by alien wisdom. But he was actually a highly trained intelligence officer. Every day he would learn more about alien military procedures, communication codes, and security weaknesses. Across the world, thousands of humans took similar jobs. They appeared to be simple workers grateful for alien guidance. In reality, they were soldiers and spies gathering information for the coming battle. Dr. Jahoon worked in his laboratory on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The aliens knew humans had small research stations there, but they saw them as harmless scientific outposts. They had no idea that the most advanced weapons in human history were being tested beneath Europa's icy surface. "Stealth field generators are working perfectly," he reported to the fleet command. "Our ships can become completely invisible to their sensors. They will never see us coming." The aliens felt satisfied with their easy conquest. Another primitive world had joined their empire without firing a shot. They established more monitoring stations and began planning how to use human labor for their construction projects. But humanity was not conquered. Deep in hidden bases throughout the solar system, the most powerful military force in galactic history was taking shape. Soon the Council would learn that calling Earth primitive had been their first and last mistake. 6 months had passed since the aliens took control of Earth. Commander Minho floated in the observation deck of his hidden space station, watching Saturn's rings slowly turn in the darkness. His station was built inside a large asteroid, invisible to alien sensors that swept through the solar system every day. "Sir, we have another report," said Lieutenant Jiwon from her control station. "Alien patrol ship Delta 7 went missing yesterday near the Jupiter system. That makes 4 ships this month." Commander Minho turned from the window and walked to the main display screen. Red dots showed where alien ships had vanished without sending distress signals. The pattern was clear to human eyes, but the aliens seemed blind to what was happening. "What do their commanders think caused the disappearances?" he asked. "Solar storms, equipment failures, navigation errors." Lieutenant Jiwon replied with a small smile. "They refuse to believe their ships are being destroyed. The idea that primitive humans could threaten them is impossible in their minds." Far away on Europa, Engineer Nari stood in a vast underground chamber carved from ice and rock. Bright lights illuminated rows of massive weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. These particle beam cannons could slice through the strongest alien armor like cutting paper with scissors. "Test firing sequence complete," announced Dr. Minseok from the control room. "All weapon systems are performing above expected levels. The aliens have never seen anything like this technology." Nari nodded with satisfaction. The weapons used principles that even advanced alien scientists barely understood. Humans had spent decades developing these systems in secret, pushing the boundaries of physics while the galaxy remained unaware of their progress. On Earth, the deception continued perfectly. Humans worked at their assigned jobs, appearing grateful for alien guidance while secretly gathering intelligence. The aliens saw exactly what they expected to see: a primitive species learning to serve their betters. Lieutenant Do-hyun sat at his desk in the Tokyo Communication Center, pretending to struggle with simple repairs. Around him, alien supervisors discussed their plans in their own language, unaware that he understood every word they spoke. "The humans are more docile than expected," said one alien to another. "Most primitive species require more discipline in the early stages. These creatures seem naturally suited for labor roles." Lieutenant Do-hyun kept his face blank while listening. The aliens had no idea that their communications were being monitored, their security codes copied, and their military procedures studied. Every day brought new intelligence about alien weaknesses. Captain Jisoo stood on the bridge of her ship in the lunar construction facility. The vessel stretched 3 kilometers from front to back, its hull gleaming with advanced armor that could deflect energy weapons. Hundreds of similar ships filled the hidden shipyards beneath the moon's surface. "Final systems check complete," reported her engineering officer. "Fusion reactors are stable, weapons are charged, and stealth generators are operational. We are ready for combat operations." The ship's main guns could destroy alien vessels from distances they could not even detect. Its engines used controlled antimatter reactions to achieve speeds that would shock Council military experts. Every system had been designed to exceed alien technology by massive margins. Admiral Seo-jin reviewed status reports from bases throughout the solar system. Hidden facilities on asteroids, moons, and planets were all operating at full capacity. The Titan fleets were growing larger and more powerful every day. Mars shipyards report 16 vessels ready for deployment, he read from his tablet. Asteroid. Belt Station Alpha has completed weapons testing on the new gravity manipulation systems. Europa Base confirms their stealth technology is undetectable. The aliens continued their patrols, never suspecting that human ships passed by them regularly without being seen. Dr. Ji-hoon's invisibility systems bent light and energy around the vessels, making them impossible to detect even at close range. On a mining station near Pluto, Commander Sang-woo watched alien patrol ships through his telescope. They moved in predictable patterns, following standard procedures that human intelligence had completely mapped. When the time came for battle, there would be no surprises. "They have not adapted their tactics in centuries," he reported to Fleet Command. "Their military thinking is frozen in old patterns. They rely completely on technological superiority and fear." But the aliens were beginning to notice strange things they could not explain. Supply convoys disappeared without trace. Energy readings appeared and vanished from their sensors. Mining operations produced less material than expected based on the equipment being used. In the Council command ship orbiting Earth, Admiral Korthak studied reports from across the solar system. The missing patrol ships troubled him, but his experts assured him that primitive humans could not possibly threaten advanced Council vessels. "Perhaps their star produces unusual radiation effects," suggested his science officer. "Or their magnetic fields interfere with our navigation systems. Primitive systems are often unstable and dangerous." Admiral Korthak accepted these explanations, because the alternative was unthinkable. How could a species that still used chemical rockets pose any threat to the mighty Galactic Council? Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt, Captain Yeoju completed the final test of her ship's new weapons. The gravity torpedo had torn a small moon apart, demonstrating power that existed nowhere else in known space. Her crew cheered as debris scattered into the void. The pieces were all in place. Humanity had built the most powerful military force in galactic history while appearing completely helpless to their conquerors. Soon the aliens would learn that appearances could be very deceiving. But for now the deception continued, and the Titan fleets remained hidden in the darkness, waiting for their moment to emerge. The trouble started when human workers on Luna destroyed an alien supply depot. It was a small act of rebellion, but it made the Galactic Council very angry. They had grown tired of minor problems with their new human slaves and decided to teach Earth a harsh lesson. Admiral Korthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching 50 Council warships move toward Earth. These were not the small patrol vessels that had been disappearing mysteriously. These were real battleships with heavy armor and powerful weapons. "The humans will learn their place today," he told his officers. "We will destroy a few of their cities to show them what happens when primitives challenge their betters." The alien fleet approached Earth's orbital space with confidence. Their ships were sleek and beautiful, designed to inspire fear in primitive species. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level a human city. 50 such ships could destroy all life on Earth if needed. Admiral Tai-hyung watched the approaching alien fleet from his hidden command ship behind the moon. He had been waiting for this moment for years. Around him, his bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing for humanity's greatest gamble. "Captain Yeoju, are all fleets ready?" he asked into his communication device. "Titan Fleet Alpha is standing by," came the reply. "Fleet Beta is in position near Mars. Fleet Gamma awaits your orders from the asteroid belt." Admiral Tae-hyung nodded and turned to his tactical officer. "Begin emergent sequence. Show them what primitive really looks like." The first human ship appeared like a monster rising from the ocean depths. It materialized from behind a lunar mountain where it had been hidden by advanced stealth technology. The vessel was enormous, stretching 3 kilometers from end to end, bristling with weapons that glowed with barely contained energy. Then another ship appeared, and another. Soon the space around Earth filled with massive human warships that dwarfed anything the aliens had ever seen. They emerged from hidden bases on Mars, from hollowed asteroids from beneath the ice of Europa. Each ship was a masterpiece of advanced technology. On the alien flagship, sensors screamed warnings as they detected the impossible power readings. Admiral Korthak stared at his display screen in shock. The energy signatures showed controlled antimatter reactions, gravity manipulation fields, and weapon systems based on principles his scientists barely understood. "This cannot be real," he whispered. "These readings show technology beyond our own capabilities." Captain Sung-ho commanded. The human flagship Indomitable, a massive vessel that could have been mistaken for a small moon. He opened communication channels to the alien fleet, his voice calm and steady. "This is the Human Defense Force," he announced. "You called us primitive. We call this education." The battle began immediately. Human weapons fired with precision. That shocked the alien commanders. Particle beams sliced through council armor like hot knives through butter. Gravity torpedoes twisted space itself, crushing alien ships into tiny balls of metal. Antimatter warheads converted matter directly into pure energy in explosions that lit up the solar system. Commander Gayung led a squadron of human fighters that moved like deadly dancers around the clumsy alien formations. Her ships used tactical patterns developed through centuries of human warfare, strategies the aliens had never encountered because most species surrendered before fighting. "Enemy formation breaking apart," she reported. "Their ships are designed for intimidation, not actual combat. They have no idea how to respond to coordinated attacks." Dr. Hyunwoo's gravity weapons were the most terrifying of all. They reached out across space to grab alien ships and squeeze them like giant invisible hands. Metal groaned and cracked as the vessels were compressed into scrap. Some ships simply vanished as their matter was scattered across dimensions. Engineer Yoonji watched her antimatter torpedoes streak toward alien targets. Each weapon contained enough destructive power to destroy a city, but they were perfectly controlled and precisely aimed. When they struck alien ships, the vessels simply ceased to exist in brilliant flashes of light. The alien fleet tried to fight back, but their weapons seemed weak compared to human technology. Energy beams that could destroy planets barely scratched human armor. Missiles that had conquered 100 worlds exploded harmlessly against human shields. Admiral Korthak watched his proud fleet being destroyed piece by piece. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were being torn apart by weapons he could not understand. The humans fought with a skill and ferocity that left him speechless. "Retreat," he finally screamed into his communicator. "All ships retreat immediately." But it was too late for most of his fleet. Human ships surrounded the survivors like wolves hunting prey. The few alien vessels that escaped did so only because the humans allowed them to leave. Admiral Tai-hyung wanted survivors to carry news of humanity's power back to the Council. Within hours, the space around Earth was filled with wreckage from the alien fleet. Only 12 Council ships survived out of 50, and they fled toward the outer system, broadcasting panicked warnings about the impossible human weapons. The deception was finally over. For 50 years, humanity had hidden their true capabilities while appearing weak and helpless. They had built the most advanced military force in galactic history, while their enemies believed they were primitive savages. Captain Jisoo stood on her ship's bridge, watching the last alien vessels disappear into hyperspace. Around her, the Titan fleets maintained their formations, ready for whatever came next. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth had never been primitive. They had simply been patient, waiting for the right moment to show the universe what humans could really do when pushed too far. News of the alien defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On distant worlds, species that had served the Galactic Council for centuries listened in amazement to the reports. The mighty Council fleet had been destroyed by a species they called primitive. It seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun stood in his command center above Earth, coordinating the greatest military operation in human history. Dozens of screens showed Titan fleets moving throughout the galaxy, liberating worlds that had been under Council control for generations. Status report from all sectors, he ordered his staff. Captain Minji appeared on the main screen, speaking from her ship near Alpha Centauri. Titan Fleet Beta has secured the trade routes. 3 Council supply bases have surrendered without fighting. The local species are celebrating in the streets. Admiral Jian reported from the Outer Rim territories. Fleet Gamma is accepting surrender from Council garrisons on 12 worlds. The aliens are abandoning their positions faster than we can reach them. The Council's military power was crumbling everywhere. Ships that had enforced their rule for centuries were either destroyed or fleeing toward the galactic core. Alien commanders who had never known defeat were surrendering to human forces they could not hope to match. Commander Sangwoo led his squadron to a mining world where thousands of slave workers had been forced to extract precious metals. When his ships appeared in orbit, the alien overseers immediately abandoned their posts and ran for escape pods. "This is Commander Sangwoo of the Human Defense Force," he broadcast to the planet below. "You are free. The Council's authority over this world is ended." The celebration that erupted on the surface could be seen from space. Beings who had worked in chains for decades danced in the streets and tore down monuments to their former masters. Similar scenes were happening on hundreds of worlds as news of human victory spread. Dr. Kyung-hee had become Earth's chief ambassador to the liberated worlds. She met with delegates from dozens of species in the rebuilt United Nations building in New York. The Great Hall was filled with beings of every shape and size, all seeking alliance with humanity. "We offer partnership, not domination," she explained to the gathered representatives. "Earth has no desire to become the new council. We fight for freedom, not conquest." A delegate from the Rigelian system stood to speak. His people had been slaves for 300 years. "The council told us that freedom was impossible, that we were too weak to govern ourselves. You have proven them wrong about everything." Similar meetings were happening throughout human space. Species that had been crushed under council rule were forming new governments, writing constitutions, and building their own defense forces. Earth provided technical assistance and military protection, but demanded nothing in return. General Wusung approached the Council's capital world with the largest human fleet ever assembled. Hundreds of Titan-class vessels surrounded the planet, where the alien government had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The sight of so many massive warships filled the sky like storm clouds. The Council's final message came from their underground bunkers. "We surrender unconditionally," their leader announced. "The Galactic Council officially dissolves all authority and submits to human judgment." General Wusung accepted their surrender with the same calm dignity that humans had shown throughout the war. "You will be treated according to the laws of war," he promised. "No executions, no revenge. Justice, but not cruelty." The fallen council members were taken to neutral worlds where they would face trial for their crimes. But many species chose forgiveness over punishment, eager to move forward rather than dwell on past suffering. President Heejin addressed the transformed galaxy from Seoul, speaking to billions of beings across thousands of worlds. Behind her, the lights of human ships could be seen through the windows preparing to depart for distant stars. "We were called primitive because we had not yet reached for the stars," she said. "But when we finally rose, we did so not as conquerors, but as liberators. Today begins a new age of freedom for all thinking beings." The changes came quickly. Trade routes that had enriched only the Council were open to all species. Technology that had been restricted to the ruling class was shared freely. Worlds that had been strip-mined for alien benefit were given resources to rebuild their ecosystems. Captain Hana commanded a hospital ship that visited former slave worlds, providing medical care to beings who had suffered under Council rule. Her doctors worked tirelessly to heal not just physical wounds but the psychological damage of centuries of oppression. "They are learning to hope again," she reported to Earth. "Some of these people have never known anything but servitude. Teaching them that they can make their own choices is harder than any battle we fought." The galaxy was transforming into something new. Instead of one powerful empire ruling over countless subject peoples, hundreds of independent worlds were forming voluntary alliances based on mutual benefit. Earth served as a protector and mediator, but never as a master. Admiral Seogin's fleets patrolled the space lanes, ensuring that no new tyrants could rise to replace the Council. Human ships became symbols of safety for merchant vessels and peaceful travelers throughout the galaxy. The primitive species from the third planet around an ordinary star had become the guardian of galactic freedom. They had proven that technological advancement meant nothing without wisdom, and that true strength came from lifting others up rather than crushing them down. The universe would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had intended.